Doctor, you'll perform an autopsy.
On a body that's turned to stone?
The Gorgon may be familiar to Hammer fans, but among the greater populace, it remains an underappreciated flick. Released in 1964, The Gorgon naturally feels akin to the studio's standard output of the time. It's a spooky period piece, a mystery with a supernatural villain, set in a small European town and the Gothic locations nearby. Peter Cushing, Christopher Lee, Barbara Shelley, Richard Pascoe, and director Terence Fisher. Of course, there's even hints of adult titillation peppered in here and there. But what makes the Gorgon distinct is its blend of horror and fantasy. Hammer set aside their more westerly influences and journeyed thousands of years in the past, all the way to the original Greek myths for their next monster. Having said that, the Gorgon is not set in Greece, nor the ancient past, but in early 20th century Germany. I guess Hammer didn't want to stray too far from their brand. After all, it was easier to dress Bray studios like Deutschland instead of sandy, sun-bleached Greece, and they sure had plenty of that turn-of-the-century clothing lying about. No time to worry about any of that, as the action starts rather swiftly. A bohemian lad is capturing his latest lady chum in the buff, but it's hardly the romantic sensuality of Titanic.
Yes. Yes, I think I can start painting in the morning.
He's all cheeky, weirdly enough, being the clothed one, and she's all, "Oh no, I'm pregnant, what will my father say, what are we going to do?" To cut it short, what they're going to do is run out into the woods under a full moon. I mean, honestly, they're just asking for trouble. To cut it even shorter, the lad ends up having a swing, and the lady has not just been murdered, but her whole body turned to stone. You'd think there would be an uproar, but the town's half-hearted inquest reveals a community gripped in conspiracy. This was not the first murder, not at all. The authorities buried the truth, mainly out of fear. But a certain prominent figure may be squashing any investigation for more personal reasons. It is a fantastic web of little tangled mysteries that keep the plot flowing for the first 2 acts. Who is the killer? How did the victims receive such a rocky fate? What secret is Cushing hiding behind those mutton chops? How is this man's hair so spiky? Why is this man putting out a large fire with a wooden broom? And how did he succeed? Anyone with even the most basic understanding of Greek mythology will be aware of Medusa and the Gorgons, the snake-haired women who were so ugly they turned men hard. Wait, they are a very famous legend with interesting attributes, yet they're rarely utilised in film, even less so in horror. Because of this scarcity, those with a deeper knowledge of the myths could find the Gorgon to be a disappointment. As if the change in time period and setting were omens, the movie does play fast and loose with the mythology. It speaks of the 3 Gorgon sisters, which is lifted from the old tales, but the names have been changed. The villain of this piece is called Bagheera. No, that's not right either. The villain of this piece is called Megaera. She still has the slithering locks and stone powers, which are slightly diminished in reflections, but there are crucial differences that tear it from the original terror. Firstly, this is not the monster itself, but its spirit, which works via possession, using other poor women as host flesh. Secondly, this possession for whatever reason seems to operate under werewolf law. It only occurs during the full moon. It leaves the host with amnesia and other mental distress, and results in violent killings. I previously bemoaned Hammer's resistance to the werewolf subgenre in my old review of Curse of the Werewolf. So, while I don't think the werewolf characteristics particularly gel with the Gorgon legend, I kinda enjoy it. It's like I'm watching an amended Hammer Wolfman remake, featuring Cushing and Lee, that never came to be. Other differences include the beast luring men towards her with sweet, haunting singing, which is siren territory. And because this is a possession, the monster's detached head does not retain the stony powers. If, like me, and you're not too bothered by the changes to the mythology, you're gonna have a swell time. For more accurate portrayals, go back to the Gorgon's head, or of course, Clash of the Titans, yeah boy! The Gorgon is just easy viewing fun for classic horror fans. The mysteries and conspiracies may be relatively obvious, but there's enough doubt and red herrings to pique interest enough. The stone deaths are few and far between, but unique in the genre. I especially like how Medusa's gaze obliterates this guy's skin and his voice and his whole life, but it has fixed his hedgehog hairdo. You've got Cushing in a lab right off the bat. Hammer knows what we like. He is great as usual, playing a toned-down role, his bitter, fatal jealousy mainly coming out through passive-aggressively ending conversations early.
Goodbye, Mr. Heights. Good day, Mr. Heights.
But, Doctor...
Good day.
Good night, Carla.
To make up for this, we've got Christopher Lee as Professor Meister. And damn, he's easily the MVP of the movie. That is, most valuable professor. Yes, his wig is ridiculous, but this is a film about reptile-haired ladies. I'm starting to believe all this terrible hair is meta-genius. A criticism of the Gorgon could be that it becomes a tad repetitive. Someone meekly investigates the case and gets attacked. Someone else gently investigates and gets attacked. You see where we're going. But then Lee arrives with half an hour on the clock and shoves the film into top gear. He's investigating the case, but there's nothing meek or gentle about this guy. He is hilariously abrupt and in control of every situation.
Well, you propose to keep me standing out here all night? There is no pressure. Don't use long words, Inspector. They don't suit you. It will, not... yes. Proper enough, Paul. Murders? I'm referring to the ones which you failed to solve. Oh, incidentally, I understand some of your democratic citizens tried to eject the late Professor Heights. You'd better warn them not to attempt that sort of behavior with me. Good day.
This is a man who gets shit done. 1964, so this was before the actor eventually caved and returned to Dracula, so he was still trying to avoid typecasting. Well, this good guy role of his proves his trademark intensity can serve the light side just as perfectly as it does the dark. In terms of terror, the Gorgon is not going to keep you up at night, but the scene where Hedgehog wanders into the monster's domain does deliver the goods. Ethereal soundtrack and moody setting, the obscured figures watching the soon-to-be-dead victim. It's classic Hammer all the way down. The villain herself is used sparsely. This could be a complaint, but I say it works in the film's favour. It's only a fairly short movie anyway, and very directly paced. This makes her prominence in the finale all the more exciting, with that ghostly soundtrack returning, in line with a reptilian green glow and Dracula-style eyes bloodshot to Gettysburg. Also, there's a massive piss-off sword fight right before that, which is great. Major spoilers, I suppose, but the very end is one of the bleakest in the Hammer canon. After the sympathetically villainous Cushing wins the fight, he's defeated by Medusa, possessing his unrequited lover. Professor Meister then proves he's a man of action once again, albeit without the reflective shield gimmick of legend, unfortunately. The head slowly returns to normal with some quaint effects, leaving us with the decapitated remains of our troubled heroine Carla. The other protagonist, Paul, Carla's supposed hero and saviour, witnesses the whole thing and succumbs to his stony injuries. Big brass stabs punctuate the end titles like the audience is now getting whacked in the face with a tuba for good measure. Savage, savage, savage.
She's free now, Paul. She's free.
All in all, Hammer was onto a good thing with the Gorgon, and I think they missed a trick. Imagine all the other mythological monsters Professor Meister should have tackled in sequels and spin-offs. You've got your Minotaurs, your Cyclopses, Edgelord Zeus himself, and even the spirit of a Roman scholar who's been sat around plagiarizing the stories for a millennia. Off with all their heads, I say.